Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Dead Cells, giving it a decent review and what I honestly think about it. If you're unfamiliar of what Dead Cells is, it's a roguelike Dark Souls kind of game. Basically a 2D platformer, Metroidvania, pixel art, that kind of stuff. It's got a good soundtrack, good graphics, and I can't really knock it on that front. It's only been out 3 days, I believe. Yes, 3 days. And it has a issue that I'm encountering, but I won't knock the game too badly because of that, even though it does affect the game quite a bit. Right, to start off with, I think we should talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the obvious Dark Souls reference that it has. And this game is hard, and I understand that people say, oh, Dark Souls is hard, but Dark Souls isn't hard. Dark Souls is fun, it's difficult, it's definitely not that hard. What this game is a 1980s coin dump of a game. So basically, put your coin in, you get so far, you die, and you try again. This game definitely resembles that more than Dark Souls because you don't really keep much of your upgrades going through the game. You get certain bits of bobs which you can keep, but they don't really add to the difficulty of the game, making it easier at all. Like a Dark Souls game, you would obviously play it, get stronger, and starting stuff will become a lot easier. Unlike this game where the starting stuff is always the same difficulty because you never yourself actually level up. Next, we're going to talk about the combat of Dead Cells. And honestly, this is probably the game's best attribute, as it feels highly fluid and there isn't really much downtime when playing the game, as the combat is always pressing you forwards, slashing through one enemy to the next. There is a problem I found with the shield bearers. They can kind of slow you down where you have to wait for them. That kind of interrupts the flow of the game, but overall, everything else I have come across, you have to dodge or die. And basically, there have been some times where I felt like I have to duel to the death with one big guy, and the combat has never let me down in any kind of front. Even up against the bosses, it feels very good. The bosses are kind of clean. They have no outright kind of brokenness about them. They feel very well made. Since Dead Cells is a platformer, we have to talk about the movement a bit. And when you start out a new game, you have the simple basics, which are double jump and roll. That's basically it. And you have to work your way through the game with just those. Unfortunately, I have not found out any other main movement mechanics yet, as I have yet to beat the clock tower boss, and unfortunately it is a bit hard. But the movement itself is very fleshed out. It doesn't feel like there have been any problems with it. There may be a little bit of a problem that I found where the game kind of takes over for you a little bit when you reach an edge. So, say you're jumping down from a point and you want to go to a point that's underneath another one, you might grab onto the ledge above the one you want, since the game kind of handholds you to that point. If you was holding down A to say grab a ledge, it would be a lot easier, but the game handholds you a bit. That's the only problem I have found. Apart from that, the movement is very fluid. There are mainly a few different types of upgrades you can get in the game. One is the run-through upgrade, I'll call it, and that is upgrades that will stay with you for only that run. So basically, you pick up a page and it will say, do you want to increase your survivability, which increases green items, tactical, which increases purple items and HP, and brutality, which increases red items and HP. All of them increase HP, which is kind of weird. So survivability is kind of not that good, but it can help in certain situations where the traps, which are green items, do come in handy. But mainly I found myself going for more the tactical, which is the bow and the brutality, since they both again give HP. Second type of upgrade you can get is talking to the cell mutator, I believe his name is, and he will take your cells, which is kind of like a currency you will acquire throughout the runs of the game, and he will make more permanent upgrades. So basically like more HP flasks, make your starting weapon become random. The problem with that is, even though it becomes a random type of a weapon you've got, it will not keep the upgrades. So you will start off with dual blades, but you won't have the upgraded super OP dual blades that you had last run. He generally does stuff like that, so he can give you stuff. He can also make you items as well for that particular run. Next you have the blacksmith, which is very weird. The first time and the only time I've met him, really. Well, I've met him a few times, but he's only done one thing, and that's allowed you to upgrade the possibility of items dropping. Now this is very strange, since the actual thing itself, I believe, takes about 1,000 cells to upgrade fully. So out of my, I think I've done about 10 or somewhere around there, 10-12 runs of the up to the clock tower so far. So I've had a decent amount of cells. I barely scratched the blacksmith, since he is so far and few in between. The other problem with upgrading your stuff is you cannot leave the upgrade room until you have spent all your stuff. So if you want to spend all your cells on the blacksmith, tough luck. You spend them all in the cell mutation, then you can move on to the next level. So you only have the cells from the previous level to upgrade from the blacksmith. You have, and finally you have, no, not finally, you have the blacksmith, the mini blacksmith, that will upgrade your weapons and traps. But since they are only in the run, it is only like a temporary upgrade. You will use Go to upgrade them, but you can only really upgrade them once. So say you started off with the starting sword and you upgraded it once, cannot upgrade it any further to make it better. You need to find a new weapon to get better. Once you pass him, you will come to the last upgrade person, which I have met so far. Again, I have not been able to beat the clock tower boss, so I don't know who else is beyond that. But this guy will increase your mutations for the run also. So basically your mutations would be like brutality. You gain DPS, damage per second, if you kill monsters in a short period of time. Survivability, which is highly rubbish, which is necromancer, which you, I think, heal 1%, somewhere around there, something crappy, like a 1% of HP per enemy kill. And this is generally talking about the starting monsters in later levels will do upgraded damage. So even killing starting monsters will not give you HP back in a good way. The best one really is probably resurrect if you die for 1. That is good, but it can't save you in every situation. Those are generally all the upgrades I have seen so far. Apart from, actually no, you can get artifacts and relics which will pass through each of your runs, but they are basically for, say there's a secret area, you can go to that secret area and they can help you progress through the level if, say, you need to climb some vines. But that's all of the upgrades I have seen so far in about 5 hours of gameplay. What you're seeing on the screen right now is actually only the second boss of the game, as far as I know, but I've only ever fought one boss before this, so this is the second boss. And this guy definitely ramps up the difficulty. The whole clock tower area in itself definitely ramps up the difficulty to another degree. And that's why I say no casuals allowed, because It took half hour to reach this point, I believe. You can see in the bottom corner the timer. And it honestly feels like my weapons are just not good enough. That's the only thing really holding me back here. I know I'm taking a bit of damage, but I've got an amulet on which allows me to take 75% less damage from projectiles, and that's awesome. But you can see me shooting my bow at the guy and just doing no damage. You can see me slashing the guy and it's just doing pitiful damage the same. It's because the upgrades are all you get. You can upgrade to a certain point, but they get weaker and weaker and weaker, which kind of holds you back. And since there's no real permanent way to level up and get stronger, the only thing carrying you through the game is 1, your skill, and 2, your items. And if your skill is higher than your items, then you're just not going to make it as far as you would as a casual player, because your items will let you down at some point. I might just leave the clock tower fight playthrough, but just understand that this is only the second boss and he is kicking my ass. This is the first time I've seen him, and it will take me a while to get up to this point again. And since there is no checkpoints in the game, you have to run the whole game up to this point again, which is maybe 5 levels, I believe. 4 levels. 4 levels we'll go with. So that's 4 different levels you have to run through before you meet this boss again. And if your items aren't good enough, you're not good enough, then you're going to die. And that's generally the consensus of the game, why casuals can't play it. Unlike Dark Souls, which casuals can play because you can just level up, get stronger. But this, you can't. It's die, rinse, and repeat. Honestly, my conclusion will be short and sweet. If you like coin dump kind of games where you just try over and over to get better and better, then Dead Cells is definitely the game for you. But if you come into this game expecting a Dark Souls-esque type of experience, then do not get the game. It will not satisfy it. There's just not enough self-upgradability to the point where you can feel that kind of Dark Souls difficulty balanced with fun. If you're a speedrunner, then you will love the game, but if you're just a casual, then half hour of just running to the same point over and over, maybe 5 times, trying to get past one boss, or even just trying to get past a certain area, will drain you kind of fast. And £21 for this game, I think, is maybe a bit high. £15 permanently, I think, would have been kind of the best thing for it, but I think the hype surrounding it bumped up the price kind of a bit, and people will defend it to the hilt. It is a good game, and it is undeniably a good game, but it is still a flawed game. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time.